G'day folks, welcome to, what is it, the 5th video, isn't it, of Sleezy, or Sideways Sleezy as we like to call it. We've got Stu from Dangar Marine here, he's come back on board. So what are we doing today, Stu? We've got a bit of a list, haven't we?
We do. We
don't have much left on this list for Rego, so is there anything to add to it?
Well, talking last night, yeah, we want to check anything that we might break when we go off-road.
True, because one of the first few trips in Sleezy is going to actually be on a racetrack. So
dirt racetrack.
Dirt racetrack.
So suspension, steering.
Yeah, we haven't really checked that, have we? So
no.
I think maybe when we flush the brake system, because that's still on the list, we'll take care of that as well. So
yeah,
why don't we add that to the list right now, Stu, and we'll go and see if Sleezy starts easily.
Done, it's been a while.
All right, let's do it.
Suspension check. Let's also just add steering. I recall being told there was something dodgy about it.
Okay, well, we'll check it out.
Yep.
All right, let's go and start him up, eh?
Yep.
So we had a bit of trouble last time. Let's see how well Sleezy starts now that we've given it a basic tune. Do we have to open the bonnet? You've got 10 seconds to make your bets. There we go. How can you argue with that? Alright, let's get him in. I don't know if you remember, Stu, that we spoke about last time. We were going to do the rear vision mirror with a hot glue gun.
Yep.
Not only has the little part fallen off, so has the tape that was holding it. So we're going to have to go and get the proper glue this time.
Right,
it was an experiment. There you go, folks. It does fail, as expected.
Yeah.
So, but we're not against failure here. We do it quite often. All right, Stu. So we're going to jack that front end up, I think, and we'll bleed the brakes. We'll check the front suspension at the same time. She's a heavy old girl, mate. Alright, so we're just going to check that we don't have any free play from side to side. Keeping an eye on the pitman arm, idler arm and the tie rod ends from side to side. This side looks pretty good. I am getting some movement, but I suspect we may have an issue elsewhere. Maybe not. It could just be the free play from the steering box as you're getting it, but there's no real obvious issue on this side, so we're going to do the same on the other. And there's a bit more slop on this side. Look at the idler arm move up and down.
Yeah, right. Yep. Is it loose on its? Yeah.
Alright, so I'm looking at this. Tie rods look okay. The idler arm looks a little bit sloppy. You can see the drag link is moving up and down on this side when I move it. So we may look at replacing that idler arm. It doesn't look very old, but it may just be a cheapie. I think for the $30 or $40 odd we'll change it out anyway. Next step is to check things like ball joints. So we're just going to get like a tyre lever underneath the tyre and just check for any slop. That looks pretty solid. I can't feel any free play whatsoever. Can't feel anything top to bottom. Actually, what's that?
A little bit. Yeah.
So I'm feeling
wheel
a bit,
bearing there.
unless it's a wheel bearing. I believe this side wheel bearing needs adjustment. Stu, if you can get underneath and just check the ball joints aren't slopping when I move top to bottom.
It's wheel bearing.
Okay, so our wheel bearing has obviously come a bit loose. We're going to adjust that. We'll check the other side as well. This side feels pretty good. Can't feel any slop at all. So basically our little list on the front end is not very big. We'll change out an idler arm. We'll adjust both front wheel bearings whilst we're at it, and I think the front end's good to go, mate.
Nice.
Alright, let's rip these wheels off. Let's bleed the brakes, and we'll start taking care of that.
Done.
Righto, so we'll start fooling around with the wheel bearings. I'm just going to run through how I do a set of wheel bearings on the front of one of these. It's how I was taught as an apprentice. So first things first, we're going to pop the wheel hub off itself, which is nice and easy. Then use a pair of side cutters to remove our split pin. Again, nice and easy. We'll then have our little cap piece here. Now the way I was taught was with a big shifter like this is that you would actually put it on, and it was about the weight of your hand if you're just sort of letting it rest, and then just a tiny little nip beyond it. So we'll loosen it here, and just the weight of my hand like so, and a touch more, like a couple of inches more. This wheel bearing didn't really need adjusting. We've just shown you how to do it anyway. But that's basically it. It's back to where it was. That's well adjusted, and you'll find that this will last quite a long time before you go to adjust them again. So we'll put this back together and we'll show you how we go with the other side. You'll probably see there's a little bit of a difference, but we actually do have to move a bit further. So easy as that. That was just a touch loose, so there we go. Wheel bearings adjusted. I think, Stu, what I'm going to get you to do, if you don't mind, is before we actually look at purchasing or replacing this idler arm, let's just check that it's not loose. Sometimes, you know, it can work its way loose if someone didn't tighten it properly the first time, so we'll try that before we swap it out, and after that we'll bleed the front.
Feel pretty.
Ah.
Yeah, that one's a little bit loose, isn't it? That's pretty tight, that one.
Okay, I think that lower one needed a bit, mate.
Yep.
So we get it to the next notch. Can the split pin fit?
Yeah, let's have a look. Yep.
Okay. That may have been all we needed.
Alright.
There we go. Alright, Stu, tell us what kind of movement we got.
See, I don't think... So just keep doing that for a second. See, this is moving as a unit. There's not a lot of relative movement there.
I think we're going to actually call that good enough for Rego.
Yeah.
I think it's better, and I think it'll pass. Alright, let's bleed these brakes.
Yep, done.
Alright, so these are a dual circuit brake system, which means I can bleed the front and rear separately of each other. As you can see, there are two completely separate reservoirs. I'm just going to use an old shop rag to soak all of this up. You can use like a syringe or anything like that, but when you don't have it, then a shop rag will do just fine. Basically what we're going to do is empty this out to a point where there's no more fluid left inside the canister, and then we're going to put some fresh fluid in and bleed that all the way through, and we're going to do the same thing for the rear. Some nice fresh fluid. When you're bleeding brakes, it's always not a bad idea to just very gently pop the rubber or the master cylinder cap back on, because they can actually squirt back up. So I'm going to maybe start at the wheel, Stewie, and you can pump the pedal for me if you like. Thank you, sir. So we're starting on the left hand side, which on this car is the furthest away from the master cylinder. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. There's no fluid coming out.
No, it's feeling very firm. Is the valve blocked or?
No, fluid did come out.
Okay. Yeah, the pedal's got almost no travel.
Okay, down, up, down, up. I think we've had something dislodge and block this valve. 1 second.
Yeah, the pedal's not moving.
Yep. So there we go, folks. It's not quite as simple as you'd always assume. Down. Is it going down?
No, still no real travel.
Wow. Up. Down. Are you pushing hard?
Yeah, reasonably.
Oh, I've got the whole bleed nipple out completely.
You want to try the other side. Just confirm whether it's a problem with that wheel.
Yeah, I suspect that maybe we have an issue with a flexible hose. We'll check the other side now and see if it does anything similar. So it's just as well that we've actually come across this problem now prior to registration, so we can sort it out first. Down,
Yeah, see, that's
up,
different.
yeah. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So for anyone that might have picked up on that, as Stewie's on the way down, he's want to actually block it off and make sure that there's no air in the line when I close it, but we've got some issues on the other side, so we'll have to do a bit more diagnosis by the looks. As part of our diagnosis, I think the first port of call is going to be where the hard line meets the flexible line. If we find that it bleeds out through there, then we need to actually check the rest of the flexible line and maybe check where it meets the caliper to see if it bleeds out. We need to work out where we've got our blockage. So Stu's in the car, he's ready to go. And righto, Stu, I'm going to crack this open. Oh, it's too late. Righto, down. That's bleeding out.
No, it's not moving.
That's alright. Down.
Oh, yeah, going.
Up.
Yep.
So you're getting a soft pedal, Stu?
It did move a bit then.
Okay, so our blockage doesn't appear to be hard line. We're going to nip this up all the way now. We're now going to look at dealing with down here where the soft line joins the caliper and see if we've got any flow through here. If we can't get any flow through this line, then we're going to have to change out some new lines. Ready? Okay, so we're now going to crack this bolt loose. Oh. Okay, Stu, down. It's locked, okay. Okay, release.
Yep.
I'm going to undo it completely and see what we get. I think we might have a collapsed flexible hose that's blocked.
Yep. Ooh.
So the caliper emptied.
Oh, the caliper emptied there. Right.
So let's keep an eye on this hose. Stewie, can you try to press it down? It's locked.
Okay,
So you're pushing the pedal hard now, are you?
I am.
Alright, so our hose is gone. We're going to have to get some new flexible hoses. Bloody hell. Alright, we've got to sort him out. It's just as well we did this actually, because in all likelihood, if this was done on your regular brake test, it would have pulled up the car. It would have had a nice solid pedal, but we only had 3 that were working. So, alright, let's get some new hoses, eh? Anyway, so after a bit of our mucking around with the brakes, we have decided that we are going to change the idler arm. We did try to adjust it and tighten it a bit. It's a lot better, but you know, we're at the point where we have to wait for a new brake line anyway. We're going to have to carry on another day, so we may as well just change the idler arm for an extra 30 or 40 odd dollars. So I guess in the meantime, Stu, we're stuck with the front end up in the air. We've still got a lot more work to do. Why don't we try and knock off some of these electricals? We've still got on the list the high beam or the inboard lights, the driving light switch. We've also got to muck around with the window switch for the wiper motor.
Yep.
So I actually do have in stock the correct LTD one, so we're going to swap that over because the other one that's in there looks pretty rubbish. And we've actually got the proper glue for the windscreen at least, so we can knock 3 things off the list.
Yeah,
so
sure.
why don't we do that now? We'll feel a bit better about ourselves and take it from there.
Sounds like a plan.
Alright, keep moving on. Alright, so I guess we'll start with the driving light switch. I've got the continuity part on the multimeter. You can probably hear this. So you can hear when it's making a connection. And this is in the off position of the switch. We can touch the 2 terminals and we can't hear anything. We flick it over into the on position and we're in the same boat. So we know that we've got an issue with the switch here. We're going to undo these 3 tabs that hold the plastic part on and see what's actually going on inside of it. So we might find that it's just a build-up of corrosion, or there's a broken part or a broken spring or something like that. Hopefully we've got at least an easy fix. Well, it looks pretty straightforward, to be honest. I'm not sure why we're not getting continuity. I think we might just clean up a part of this copper with a light abrasive. And we'll do the same with these terminals here. They've got some nice and shiny copper there. Clean these terminals a bit as well. On the contact points. We'll put just a light smear of grease on it, put it back together, see how we go. And if we listen to that, we're now making connection in the on position. So that switch is now sorted. We'll just spend a little bit more time getting these a bit tighter. Good to go back in the car. Beauty. Only took about 10 minutes. Right, let's see if we've got the inboard driving lights. Put him on high beam and let's see.
Yep. Perfect.
Alright, we've got some inboards.
Yep.
On.
Done.
Off.
Yep.
On. Off.
Yep.
Very good. Now, just as a curiosity, are they on?
No.
No, so you need the high beam to
Yep.
switch them on. Okay, beautiful.
Done. Nice work.
Alright, so there we go. We can finally cross something off the list, Stu, after a few hours of mucking around. We got some progress. Alright, let's
Finally
do
had
it.
a win.
After a lot of mucking around, here we go. Crossed.
We're on a roll now.
How long? Alright, next.
Wiper.
Yeah, let's try the wiper
Finish
switch.
electrics while we're
Yep.
on the...
Alright, let's do wiper switch while we're at it. So here's the proper LTD kind of switch. It's quite long. It's much longer than the factory XC Falcon one. So I'm actually curious to see what's in there because it's an XC Falcon is meant to have 1 intermediate to the left. These have 3. But the one that's in there at the moment doesn't move to the left at all, so I actually don't know what's going on there. So I'm curious to see if it's one of these that's failed, or if someone's put a Falcon one, or some bodgy sort of thing. So, alright, let's sort him out. Alright, so in order to do the switch here, the actual dash fascia's got to come out. So we need to remove the wiper button and the headlight button. They actually are part of the retainers for this. So we'll pop that off, and if you have a look inside, you can see that there's a special tool built for these, but you can do it with a flat blade screwdriver like so. And you can actually undo these. If you don't undo these, it won't come undone. The fascia will stay stuck in place. We need to do similar over here for the headlight switch. However, there is a button inside here that you've got to press in order to bring this whole shaft out. So let's have a look at that. There's a hole inside here that I'm reaching with my finger, my middle finger. And by holding the tab, it comes out in one go. 10, looking inside, we can see it's the same style as on the wiper switch. So we'll undo that as well with a flat blade screwdriver. There we are. We can now deal with the top screws along here and remove that fascia entirely. So it appears we've got to move the centerpiece out, which I'm hoping from memory we can do it this way. We can unscrew the top piece, and then once that center panel comes out, we should be able to get some access, I hope. There we go. Here comes the center panel. And now this will slide out. So here's our little trick for the LTD. It's been a while. We were almost going to pull this out, but thankfully we remembered not to. Yeah. So now that we're in this position, we've got a few screws here that will take the entire cluster out, which will then also give us access to this switch. Alright, have a look at that. It is a short switch. So somebody's changed this out. This is the size that it's meant to be for an LTD, so I think we'll get rid of it and find out if this works before we put the car back together as well, eh? Got water. Interesting. No wipers at all.
Did we have them working at all with the other switch?
Yeah, we did. We had only one position with the other switch working.
Okay.
So it was rather poor. So I don't know what's going on here as to why it's sort of playing up the way that it is. So after a bit of off-camera investigation, we've actually found an issue here with a wire at the plug. We come in and have a look at that. So we're just going to connect that up, and once we connect that up, it actually does work like it's meant to, and the correct LTD switch works as well. So we're going to put that all back in together. So it's just as well we did all this mucking around after all. Righto, so now that we've put that together, let's see what kind of windscreen wipers we have. We'll start the car just to make sure we get plenty of voltage. So this is speed number 1, with a bit of a squirt. Speed number 2, back to 1, off, now intermittent. Give it a second. There we go. I'll call that done. That's good enough for Rego. Sweet, nice. Cross that off the lift. Beautiful.
Another
thing.
thing.
Hey. Alright. Oh, well, now we've got some working wipers, why don't we put them in the right spot, because that looks rubbish. That looks a bit better. Lock him in there. I think we'll do the same with the other side, and that looks pretty poor as well. Alright, very good. Let's put the dash back together. There we go.
Nice work.
Alright, dash back together. I think the only other piece we've got to do to cross off this list to feel a bit better about ourselves is right here.
Yes.
Let's sort that out, shall we?
Clean that up.
Yep. Alright, so we've got it all glued on. Stu's going to hold that for a couple of minutes, and after that we'll be good to go. Alright, well, I think we've got a pretty simple task of just putting a resistor with coil on here, so I think we can pretty easily swap that out.
Very good.
Stewie,
Yep.
I think we better cross off some things on our list.
Yeah, big time. I think we need a bit of a pick-me-up.
Alright, what are we crossing off, mate?
We have done wiper switch.
Yes.
We have done rear vision mirror, not quite tested, but we'll call
We'll
it a
cross
yes.
that off.
We have done ballast resistor.
We have. Have we done coil? Yes, we
We've done
have.
coil. We did a suspension check front, but should we leave that till we've done it all?
Yeah, we're partially through a suspension check.
We sort of checked steering.
Yeah, steering, I'm happy. Well, we'll leave it as it is. So, steering, suspension, handbrake, and flush brake. I think that's pretty much it. We're going to have to call it a day for now,
Yeah.
and we'll finish off in a couple of days' time as soon as we get some parts turn up.
Yeah.
All right. Day 2. Some goodies have arrived. We can finally sort this out, eh? I think let's get started with the brakes. I'm keen to get this working. I'm very confident that the brake lines are shagged. I'll be a little bit pissed if they're not. So, all right, let's get involved, Stu.
All right. Both sides. They're left and right, aren't they?
They're left and right. So, this looks like it's the left-hand side. So, we'll start with that, shall we? We'll bleed that out, and then we'll do the right-hand side.
Yep.
All right, let's go and rip this old brake line off. We're halfway there already. Just crack these ones loose. And pop this line off. So it should be pretty straightforward. We'll do the other side and then bleed the front together. We can confirm that they're a match. So they are a left and a right on this part. So bracket's slightly different, but that's negligible. Losing a lot of fluid here, so I've got to be quick. Always a good sign. You can see it's furiously leaking out. Nice and tight. Nice and tight. Inside down. Let's get the other. It's out, new one in. Okay, Stu. Down. Up. 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 Down, up. Alright, we'll wash that fluid away and we're done. Happy days.
Got a pedal, that's good.
Got a decent pedal?
Yep.
Alright, very good. Let's wash that up and we'll do the idler arm.
Done. That's it.
Just pull it down.
Yeah. So,
Well, what do you say we drop the front end down?
yeah, put the wheels on first though.
And, yeah, it might help. Alright, so we'll get this front end dropped down, we'll lift the back end up, we'll flush the rear brakes, do the rear brake cables, and I think we can cross a few things off, mate.
Yeah, getting close mechanically after that.
Yep. Alright, cool.
Done. Let's do it.
Keep going. Inspection of the pads is pretty decent. Handbrake cable appears to be attached. Oh. There's a little redback before he disappears. Might just be able to see him. So we'll be aware of him as we keep working. Pads look okay. And that could be our problem here. We've got a disconnected cable. Very good. So hopefully that's all it takes. We'll slacken it off. We'll have to go to the front floor pan and release it so that we can slide him back, but with any luck that's all it is, it's just fallen out. So we've pretty much got to wind this all the way off just in order to put the hook back on the left hand side. Thankfully it's turning reasonably well so far. Alright, let's put that caliper back on its hook. Just make sure old mate Redback's not in the way. There we go. Well, we should hopefully have a working handbrake now. Well, technically foot brake actually.
Yeah, right. Yes, true. Emergency brake.
Yes.
Park brake.
Park brake. Can feel tension on that. Feels pretty good. Alright, so now we've got a working foot brake. Very good. Let's bleed this system and then we can put it back on the ground, and I think we can cross almost everything off except for the mirror. Okay, you ready, Stu?
Yep.
Down. Up. Down. Up. Down. Up. Down. Up. Down. Up. Down. Up. And we're done. Revision mirror tire.
Success.
Done. We better check that list.
Let's have a look.
What do we got?
Handbrake done.
Done.
Flush brakes.
Done.
Done. Rear mirror we've already crossed off because
Yep.
we glued it. Reupholster interior. No, I think we're actually done.
We are done. All right.
High five.
Crisp high five. So. Alright, well on that note, we've actually gotten SLEEZY 100% ready for registration purposes from a mechanical standpoint. We've still got to deal with the bodywork. We might do that a little bit later in the afternoon when it's cooler. Why don't we dismantle SLEEZY's old motor and see what went wrong?
Take a look.
Alright,
Autopsy.
let's do it. Here we are, tear down time. Now Stu, we've had a little bit of an inspection here and I think we've come to a bit of a revelation. So as a few of you might recall, in SLEEZY 1 I had a few comments about some bent push rods that I could see on the driver's side head, which is now off obviously, but it was still on at the time. And then I had some further commentary when I was chucking those push rods over the shoulder. I said whoever built SLEEZY, you know, more or less fucked up, was my attitude. So upon further inspection I have to retract that basically. As we actually look at the cylinder heads and what's occurred, check out this cylinder head here. Look at the condition of that spark plug. You can see a little chunk taken out of that valve, and you probably can't see it in the camera. There's a little mark here. If you actually take a close look, the electrode gap has closed up, and if we have a look now at the cylinders, at the pistons themselves, you can see a whole bunch of marks in the pistons that also relate to where the damage is on these valves. We've also found the same thing has happened on the other side. Have a look at the electrode here on the driver's side head, and then have a look at the piston, which also matches up. So we've had a situation where a total of 4 cylinders have basically had some foreign material go into it. Now Stu, you were telling me that this car was parked for a while in an industrial area, and you had some issues with some people, did you not?
Well, yeah, it drew attention. It was a few complaints.
We are now of the suspicion that even though the car was registered and it was parked in its appropriate spot in this industrial area, somebody has sabotaged it. So I don't think there was anything wrong with the previous engine build with the new cam and lifters that went in there. It was just from, I don't know, what do you say, rubbish people, to put it politely. So look, anyway, that's basically our diagnosis. We think this is the reason why it's carked it. The cylinder number 1 on the left hand side has got a crack in the ball, so this block is now completely toast. We're going to chuck it on the classifieds. Anyone who wants it for $50 can have a coffee table out of it if they so choose. In the meantime, let's strip the rest of the goodies out.
Let's do it. Let's see what we see.
So what we're doing at the moment, we'll probably start off, I'm just going to remove the oil sender. Stu's removing all the sump pan bolts. Now, some smarter men would have actually drained the sump before actually taking this motor out, but we are not smarter men. Therefore, we're undoing all of the bolts on the sump. We're going to hopefully leave the sump in its place as we tip the motor back, and that's our little rubbish way of draining the oil, because we just couldn't be bothered taking out the engine crane basically. So happy days. Found ourselves a random little chunk of alloy or aluminium in this cylinder. I wonder if this is actually one of the items that might have been thrown in here for sabotage. It's a foreign object, so who knows.
Oh, yum.
It doesn't look particularly nice.
Fucking look at that, eh?
Boom.
There we go. Nice and easy. Here we are, popping out the lifters so we can remove the camshaft. Nothing untoward so far that we can see. Nice new timing chain in there too by the looks. Is it all good? Yeah, it's looking good.
Fucking groovy.
That's how you drain some oil, boys.
Wow.
And girls.
That.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's off at least. There we go.
Rust's going to be an issue with the water.
Lobes look
A little bit,
alright.
but it does look alright. I mean, it's certainly very much a new cam. There's no obvious wear on these lobes. So anyway, we'll use that in a different motor. She'll be right. Oh yeah, dry. So I think it is now time to lay this motor on its back, and we'll pop out the main and rod bearings, bolts and nuts. There we go. One crankshaft, sir. It's a 4MA crank. very good.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
So a little bit better than your standard 351 crank. That's very good.
It's a win.
It probably might have been out of an F truck, most likely.
Okay.
Is my understanding on these, but I'm sure our viewers will tell us differently if that's the case. Very good. So we can reuse that elsewhere. Why don't we pop out these remaining rods and just match them up. And for anyone wondering why it's got to go, you can see that nice lovely crack right along there. And here we have it, one dead Cleveland block. If anybody wants it to make a coffee table out of it, $50 or a slab of VB. Anyway, Stu, why don't we show the folks what we're doing next week? We'll give them a bit of a teaser on some of the rust work that we're going to have to take care of.
Alright, let's take a look.
So the best that I can gather, there's sort of 3 or 4 key spots actually that we've got to deal with. The bonnet, which you already have seen, we know about that. We've got to take care of the roof, we've got to take care of the passenger's door, and we've got to take care of the left-hand rear wheel arch. So let's have a bit of a poke around. So it's looking pretty nasty there and filled up with some crap. So I think we're going to look at doing a proper steel repair on this one, Stu, because it is part of the car, it will remain part of the car. Let's move forward to the door. That looks a little crappy there. That sounds like it's full of bog. That's looking pretty crappy there too. Fiberglass. Out fucking standing. We're going to attempt a proper repair on this as well. Let's have a look at the bonnet. Got a bunch of holes here. There's no bogging that up. That's got to be made out of steel. Let's go and have a look at the roof.
This corner's bad too.
Yeah, we've got a bit more on the corner here. So here's our other concern, is the roof. This is the one that we're not going to repair properly. We're just going to use some filler for now. Mainly because we are going to register the car as a road car. We've got a headlining in it now. I don't want to muck around pulling the headlining out. At a later stage, when it becomes a race car, it's going to get a roll cage fitted, at which point all the interior will be gutted. Then I'm happy to do this with steel. But there is a secondary layer underneath anyway. Like there's actually a strip of steel about this wide that runs along the whole length of the car, because they're actually joined in 2 halves, they're 2 roof skins, so we are going to get away with it for the moment anyhow. It is actually strong enough, but later on we'll probably tackle it. Alright, why don't I just have a little bit more of a dig, mate. Oh, that is epic. Alright.
It's right through, isn't it?
Yeah, it is there. So we're going to have to take this to the paint store and get a colour match. We'll take the fuel flap off and get a colour match. So we've got to get 2 matches of sleazy purple.
Yep.
But anyway, folks, I think that'll probably call us done. So I think probably give us another fortnight for the next video, roughly. But yes, that will be sleazy number 6, I believe, won't it?
Getting up there.
So yeah, so we're getting a few sleazies happening now. So alright, anyway, don't forget to check out the links in our descriptions, and see you on the next one, folks.
See ya.
Fucking bare skin on the knee on the fucking tile, hot tile, that hurt.
Not sure we can afford a new split pin, can we?
I'll shut it down, I'll see if I can find one. Exactly. So this is all real life, people.
Nothing scripted.
Nothing scripted. We are...
We don't edit either, do we?
No, not much. We are genuine pieces of shit, so...
No.
Any lights?
We haven't got the battery connected like a fucking couple of idiots.
So the long bonnet on the LCD is purely to accommodate that switch?
I think so. I didn't put that in.
Oh, is that going behind it?
Slightly different diameter, is it?
I think so. Fucking bastard. for being dodgy. But the old saying is, if it looks stupid but it works, it isn't stupid. Guys like us came up with that. Feel better about ourselves. Oops, sorry. Who the fuck put a mag wheel on there? I'll have to fix that. Telling Stewie he's a shit cunt. He's not allowed to swear on his channel. So I just realised that when it's got tight. Shut the fuck up.
I was just watching you do it and I'm like, you'll figure it out sooner or later.
Yeah, of course, don't even think to say anything to me, will you? Motherfucker.
Because the camera's recording. Someone's got to tell them what to do. How to do it.
Fuck off.
One knows boats, the other knows nothing.
I know you're a piece of shit, does that count? Oh. Shut the fuck up.
Oh, I wanted to tell you so bad, but I just couldn't.
Oh, idiots.
And then you rocked it too far forward.
Oh.